Hello folks, mostly students who are going to attend this Amazon Web Services training on how to start an EC2 instance, how to connect to an EC2 instance, and how to secure the EC2 instance. So let's have a look at how do we do that. Let's get on to the AWS Web Console by using our username and password, and then let's sign in. Okay, let's hit this. Thank you AWS for all the help that you are trying to give, the tips that you are suggesting. Well, we are on the AWS Web Console, and in this we are seeing that right now we are using the US East North Virginia, that is US-East-1 region, and in this region we are going to launch a new EC2, which is Elastic Cloud Compute instance, which is nothing but a virtual server, right, in the AWS cloud. So it's very easy. If you are not seeing EC2 entry in the recently visited tab, you can always search for it. It is one of the most commonly used services of AWS, and as you know, it is part of the infrastructure as a service. So this EC2, the moment you get into this service, you are seeing all the options available on the left hand side, and this is the first page is generally usually the dashboard that you are seeing now. So you know, the first thing, we all have that thought around how secure our data will be. The security starts from you. So why not first focus on the security of your server itself? So in order to get your server into safe hands, let's create key pairs, the network and security key pairs first, which will allow an encrypted data communication to happen between the client through which you will remotely log in to the EC2 instance, whether it be Linux or whether it be a Windows RDP session, right? So we have to click on the key pairs under network and security menu. We have to click on this create key pair. Amazon Web Services, I must tell you, they try to help you by pointing out the right button that you should click, right? See, the user interface clearly indicates that it looks like that you are going to create a new key pair. So why don't you click on this orange button? So let's do that. Let's give it a name, say AWS IIBM Patna key pair for Linux. You can have a short name, and see all this key pair type, which is the different encryption methodology. You don't have to worry about it. Just let it be the default selection, which is RSA at the moment. The private key format that you are seeing, let it be PEM, which is used by OpenSSH. PPK is used primarily by PuTTY application. So let's use .pem. Let's hit create key pair. So we are done. Our key pair is ready, and when we are saying pair, it means there is a private key which will be with your system. Like if you noticed, it has already downloaded the private key on your system. So you need this key to connect with the public key which will be residing on the EC2 server on AWS. The EC2 instance on AWS. The EC2 instance on AWS will have the public key, and then in order to authenticate, you need to connect using your private key which has already got downloaded on your client PC, right? So now let's come back to instances. So we don't have any instance right now. There is no virtual machine setup right now. We have to launch an instance, and again, thanks to AWS user interface, you can see this orange button which tempts you to hit it, right? And yes, that's how you launch a new instance if you are using AWS Web Console. Let's give it a name. AWS Linux IIBM Patna. Yeah, so there are so many instances available. The AMI image, the Amazon Machine Images, there are so many options available, and Amazon Machine Image, as you see here in the description below the application and OS image, it's very simple to understand. It is nothing but an image of not just the operating system but also the applications which are pre-installed on that particular image, which you can attach to your computer. It's like a DVD drive that you used to use when you wanted to install a Windows server or Linux server or any application, right? It is just like that DVD image that you can think of, right? Just to relate. So yeah, let's go for Amazon Linux, the first option which is selected, or you can also select Red Hat. Well, the moment you select different images, you will be able to notice the different options which will also reflect the pricing attached to it, right? Like if you are selecting RHEL, it is showing you the price here in the instance type under T2 micro, that you have to pay US $0.0716 per hour, right? And if you select Amazon Linux, which is again part of free tier, you have to pay the lowest price, right? It is just 0.0116, right? So let's go for Amazon Linux. We know that it's a free tier, and you could have used Red Hat Linux, but it doesn't matter. We are just trying to learn, right? So let's go for Amazon Linux. And now see, instance type is already selected, T2 micro, which falls under free tier. Now you have to select the key pair login, right? And in that, if you click on the drop down, you are seeing that the key pair that you had set up is available to select. Now by selecting this, it actually will now copy the public key to this particular server or instance under EC2, because you need the public key for your private key to authenticate, right? So that's why we have selected this key pair. We could have created a new key pair also. Now below that, you are seeing network settings. Let it be VPC, subnet, auto assign public IP enabled. You don't have to change that. The firewall settings, yeah, that is important, because you have to secure all the connections which are going to hit your server, right? So security is a shared responsibility. Amazon Web Services, they are giving you the options how you can be more secure, how your servers, your entire infrastructure on AWS cloud can be secure, but it depends whether you are using it wisely or not, right? Like by default, it is saying that allow SSH traffic, any remote connectivity via the SSH terminal. It says anywhere, from any source. You can always change it to custom, or you can even change it to my IP, that is your current client PC's public IP. It has already detected that, so it will only allow SSH connection. If you select this, it will only allow SSH connection from this IP. If you try to access this particular EC2 server from a different public IP, it will not allow. So usually a company has a fixed, as a static IP address. So that's the reason AWS allows you to select your company's network public IP, so that you can only access it from your company's premises. Nothing can be safer than that, right? But let it be anywhere for time being. If you want to run a web server there, you can allow HTTPS traffic. You can also allow HTTP traffic, which is not considered safe, right? So once you are happy with the firewall security group settings that you have done, you can go for checking what is the storage that will be allocated. By default, in free tier, you get only 30 GB of elastic block storage, which is nothing, just like a hard disk that you are going to attach, right? So you're going to use Amazon Linux. It says, why don't you use 8 GB, which is actually enough. So let it be the selection which is coming there by default. Don't change it. Just and you don't have to look into the advanced details as of now. This is just the beginning of how you use EC2, how you launch it, and then how you secure it. So we will not touch the advanced details as of now. We will cover it in the coming up sessions, right? So just have a look in the summary that is this the AMI that you wanted? Yes, Linux 2. Is this the server type? T2 micro? Yes, that's the t-shirt size that we were looking for. Remember, all the servers, generally their configuration types in enterprise network, we use different t-shirt size, right? Like this is micro, there can be small, there can be large, there can be XL, there can be double XL. All that kind of terminologies are used in enterprises, and we call them usually the t-shirt size of servers. And the firewall that we were just using, it is going to be a new security group that will be set up just for our EC2 instance, right? And this is the storage. Let's hit launch instance. So it is initiating the launch of the EC2. It says it has successfully initiated launch of instance. But is the server ready? Right now it says the instance state. If we clicked on instances, we are here back on the instances page. The instance state says it is still in pending state. It is still being prepared. The AMI that we used, that is getting installed. Oh, see, the Linux server on AWS Cloud is ready. The instance state has changed to running. If we click on it, we can see down below that yes, in the details section, the instance ID has been assigned. It has got a public IP address. The state says running. This is the private IP address of this AWS EC2 instance. Then we have private IP DNS also. And there are a lot of details which are quite relevant when you use AWS at large scale. Right now, we just wanted to have a look at all the options, security, like security tab, it says that yes, there is a security group created, and it allows 443 is the port number for HTTPS, right? 22 is the port number for SSH. Port number 80 is the port number for HTTP, the web server, right? So it is showing that it is the inbound rules that are set up here to allowed from any source, right? If generally the web servers are accessible by public users, right? So we should allow it from all users, but SSH should not be allowed from all users. But we just wanted to show it in the beginning as to how it works. So we have allowed it for time being, but we will bring change. And that's how we will secure our EC2 instance. So keep looking at it, and do make some notes, do scribble somewhere as to how are we doing it. Or you can always go back, watch this video again and again. So yes, so it is all done, it's all ready. It is launched in the availability zone of US East 1E in the North Virginia region. And the instance state right now, it shows running. But what else can we do? We can stop the instance, we can reboot the instance, we can hibernate the instance, like how we hibernate our Windows laptop or even Mac laptops, right? That is the sleep mode that nowadays we generally see on our Windows OS or Mac OS. And then the terminate instance. You remember, right? If we stop the instance, we will not be charged for CPU, we will not be charged for memory, we will not be charged for network download or upload, because it is in stop state. That is, it has been shut down, but we will still be charged for storage, right? And if we are terminating it, we will not be charged for storage or anything, because now the storage which was earlier using some OS or some application data is not required. So then we don't even have to worry about paying for the storage. But if we are in stop instance mode, that is shut down, we still have to pay for the storage as long as we are using it, right? So now we are good. The server has started, it says that it is running, but let's test. And how can we do that? Just right click on it, click on connect, or you can always select that and click on connect button, whatever is easy for you. Go for that option. Now we are seeing that by clicking the connect button option, we have been redirected to the EC2 instance, this instance ID and the connect to instance page, and we are seeing there are 4 options by which we can connect. The first one is EC2 Instance Connect. This by far is the most quickest and simplest way to connect to your Linux virtual machine on AWS Cloud. How do we do that? We just have to hit connect. It will not ask you for any private key. It will not ask you for password also, because it is a secure connection initiated directly from AWS itself. See, you are in your Linux machine, which is running on AWS Cloud, right? Now, but we don't have a web server running that we can check by opening a browser and typing the, like, this is the public IP address, right? If we copy it and if you try to access it, it says the site can't be reached because there is no web server running there, right? So let's install a web server. How to do that? Very simple. We have to sudo to get the root privilege, right? Sudo and then yum install, and httpd is the name of web server application. Just hit enter. It is letting you know that in order to install httpd, we also would like to need and install the dependencies which are listed here. So you are okay with it? Yes, I'm okay. Let's go for that. Doesn't take much time. So it is installed. Good. Can we check by reloading this IP? Oh, still it's not working, but it says it's complete, right? What is wrong? Sudo system ctl, which is a Red Hat, which is a Linux command, right? Sudo system ctl status httpd. Let's check the status of this web server. It says it is inactive. It is not running. So how to start the web server? It is as simple as it looks. Yes, you have to use sudo system ctl start and the application name, which is httpd. It looks like it has done something. Let's check the status. Yes, we are comfortable. We are a little confident that this time when we reload, because we are seeing active running, some instances are also here. If we reload, it should show the default page. Yes, we are running a web server, right, on our newly started EC2 Linux instance on Amazon Web Services. Congratulations, you are good to go with launching the instance, connecting to the instance. But how did you connect to this instance? We have connected to this instance using EC2 Instance Connect. Can we connect using SSH client? Let's check. We have clicked on SSH client. It says that you have to open an SSH client. You have to locate your private key file. You have to change the mode of your private key file, and it knows what is your key file name because that's what we had provided, right? And then you can connect using SSH to this particular server with the user ID EC2-user, and you have to specify your private key file name. So for that, we need to open our terminal. Let's bring the terminal here. Let me make it a little bigger for you. So we have to go to, or is it already in downloads? Let's see. AWS _IIBM Patna. Yeah. So it is in the same folder where we had downloaded this AWS IIBM Patna key pair linux.pem file. So we are done with the two steps: open an SSH client, locate your private key file. Third step says chmod it, change the rights. What is the rights right now of this file? lslrt. Okay, it says that it is having read and write access by the user Rohit Singh, which has downloaded. For the group, it has read access. For all others, it has read access. Well, that is not safe. If somebody can, it is just a text file. Let me tell you, it's a text file. This .pem is a text file. You can open it. So that means you have to keep it secure, that nobody else other than you should get access to it. So that's the reason it asks you to use chmod 400 followed by the file name. Well, if we don't do that, the permissions which right now it has, it will allow anybody to open that file if they log in and they get into this downloads folder. Plus, if we don't use chmod, it will not allow you to connect. We have copied that, we have pasted it here. We are trying to connect. It will say that, okay, this is the first time you are trying to connect. Say yes. It has added that private key file, but it is also throwing a warning that you have an unprotected private key file, and hence permission is denied. You will not be allowed to access. So what to do? Just a minute. Let me clear this screen. Too much of garbage. So we have this file here, right? Let's do chmod. We have just opened that long listing of this file, this particular PEM file, so that we can see what difference will happen with this chmod. Now let's do a long listing. So now you can see that you also have read access now. The group to which you are added, that is staff, also has read access. It has no access now. It has no access now. The read access for the group members have been removed. The read access for all other users have been removed. They can't even open it. So it is a protected file now. So then we should use the same SSH-I followed with the private key file name, then the username, which is EC2-user, followed with @ and the public DNS name of the Amazon Linux EC2 instance to connect. Let's press enter, and yes, we are inside the same Linux server which we had connected via the EC2 Instance Connect. Now let's check the status of HTTPD. It is still running. Let's check if we can stop this service and see what's the result if we try to reload. Immediately it responded that it's not working. Sorry, it's down. So let's start it again by issuing the command sudo systemctl start httpd. Let's check the status. Yes, it's running. So we are connected here as well, and we are connected here as well, EC2 Instance Connect, as well as through SSH client, which is your terminal. We are connected. We are good, right? But as we were saying, it is not safe to allow SSH connection from anywhere. We should restrict it. We should restrict it, right? We should have a secure system in place, right? Security is a shared responsibility. So how can we do that? We can do that by going to instances. We can select this instance. We can come to security and see the security group. We can click on it. It is showing that these are the 3 rules which were set up for the inbound connection. Any connection coming from remote clients to this server will fall under inbound, right? So we can edit this inbound rule. You can click on it. Right now it says SSH allowed from anywhere. We'll remove this. We'll click on the custom option. We'll select my IP. So it will detect my system's IP address, which I have received from my internet service provider. It's a public IP. I'll save this rule. This rule has been saved. So yes, it is still working. This is my system's terminal, the remote SSH client. Let me try to connect back to this. Yes, I am able to connect. There is no issue at all. And with that private key and public key authentication method that SSH use, we don't have to enter password, right? Nobody can see it, nobody can hack it. Now, the option, there was another option to connect using EC2 Instance Connect. It is frozen, it's not working. Okay, no problem, close it. Let's come back and come back to instances. Again, right click here, come to connect page. EC2 Instance Connect option is here, right? Let's try to connect from EC2 Instance Connect. Remember, we have allowed inbound connection only from one particular IP, and EC2 Instance Connect, if you recall, when we first tried to use EC2 Instance Connect, I mentioned that EC2 Instance Connect uses Amazon Web Services internal infrastructure to connect to our instance, which was Linux instance, right? It is not using your local machine's public IP. It is using its own internal IP address. So if we try to use EC2 Instance Connect option now, will it connect or it will not? Well, if you think it will not connect, you are right. It will not connect. You can see that. It is trying to establish connection, but it failed to connect. It failed to connect. Why? Because you have only allowed it to connect from your system's IP address, right? But you don't have to worry. If you still want to use EC2 Instance Connect to connect back to your Linux instance, and if you want to only allow EC2 Instance Connect to connect to your Linux instance, you can very well do that. You only need to know the IP range of Amazon, and that you can find out based on what is the region where the instance was launched, and we remember, right, it was launched in North Virginia region, which is US-East-1. Now, how do we get the IP addresses? Well, there is a list which is available publicly. I'll share this URL with all of you. Now in this, you have to find out EC2 Instance Connect. You have to find out where all EC2 Instance Connect services are being used. And if that EC2 Instance Connect service also is pointing to your region, which is US-East-1, and here we are in US-East-1. So we can just select this IP range, copy it, come back to your instances, select this instance, modify the security group, edit the inbound rule, remove the earlier IP range which was given, paste that particular IP range of US-East-1 using the service EC2 Instance Connect. Save the rules, come back to instances, right click, connect. You are on EC2 Instance Connect tab, click connect and check. Now, since you have allowed the North Virginia IP range for EC2 Instance Connect, you are logged in successfully. So this is also a very easy method on how you can secure remote connections, especially SSH. As you know, SSH connections can, with the help of sudo, which elevates your privilege, it can have disastrous impact to your infrastructure. Anybody can change, destroy, delete, terminate systems, shut down machines, steal data, right? So it's always required that you should follow some best practices to secure your inbound connections, right, for SSH. Whereas the public access to web servers, it should be allowed anyways, right? Now we are done with learning of how to launch the instance, how to connect to the instance, and then how to even secure the remote connection to the instance using SSH. So I'm sure you'll be able to make best use of it. Now, before closing your browser, when you are going to do the lab in the AWS Academy, which you have access to if you are a student of Indian Institute of Business Management Patna, then remember that you should not let any EC2 instance be in the start state or stop state. You should terminate it. If the work is done, terminate it so that you save on your lab hours, right? Because you have limited lab hours of $100. So thank you, and hope you have taken notes and you'll be able to practice it. Happy learning.